Hey everyone, and welcome back. This explainer was actually put together by the team over at Forge College. And today, well, we're taking a pretty massive leap. In our last lesson, we tackled the practical stuff, adding and retrieving files with IPFS storage. But let's be real, the moment everyone actually cares about is getting paid for those files, right? Specifically, getting paid in USDC. If you've been building along with us, you've got a storefront. But an endpoint that only issues payment requests, that's basically just an empty cash register. Today, we're going to fix that.
So here's our game plan for today. 1. Closing the payment loop. 2. The 3 core checks. 3. Confirmed versus finalized. 4. Handling sneaky edge cases. And 5. Building the confirmation handler. Let's get right into it. Starting off with section 1, closing the payment loop. It's kind of the most terrifying question in e-commerce, right? Your user clicked pay, but did you actually get the money? See, just because a user's wallet broadcasted a transaction to the network, that doesn't mean your backend should just instantly ship the product. I mean, wallets can be deceptive, networks get congested, and yeah, transactions just flat out fail sometimes. You need a bouncer, like an unyielding 300-pound bouncer at the front door of your integration, meticulously checking every single detail before letting that order through.
All right, moving on to section 2, the 3 core checks. So what exactly is on this bouncer's clipboard? There are 3 main steps. Step 1 is signature resolution. Your Express API route actually has to verify that the transaction exists. You do this by querying the blockchain RPC using the getParsed method. Honestly, if it returns null, the transaction is a ghost. It's not real. Step 2 is the mint match, where you check the token itself. And step 3 is amount and recipient. You gotta ensure the exact amount of tokens hit your expected merchant account, which you do by parsing the post-token balances array in the transaction data.
Let's zoom in on that second check for a second, the mint match. I like to call this the counterfeit pen check. You know, like when a cashier holds a $20 bill up to the light, you are making sure the token sent is actually real USDC, not some fake token a scammer just decided to name USDC. Because on a blockchain, literally anyone can create a completely useless token. If you don't explicitly verify that the token's mint address perfectly matches the official USDC mint address, man, a scammer could buy out your entire inventory with basically monopoly money. It all comes down to one single critical line of code: expected mint equals actual mint.
Okay, section 3, confirmed versus finalized commitment. Now this distinction, it's absolutely crucial. You've got confirmed on one side and finalized on the other. You should definitely use confirmed to quickly tell the user their payment is processing. It usually takes less than a second. So it makes for this really great optimistic user experience. Keeps them happy, you know? But, and this is a big but, always wait for finalized before actually fulfilling the physical order. You do this to avoid block reorganization nightmares. Finalized means maximum safety. The network has permanently agreed on the transaction, and your funds are 100% secure.
Which brings us to section 4, handling sneaky edge cases. The biggest edge case you're going to run into is duplicate requests. And to handle that, we need to talk about a vital concept called idempotency. I know it's a big word, but just think of idempotency as a super strict no double dipping rule at a buffet. If your endpoint gets the same signature twice, maybe because the user's internet dropped and their app panicked and retried the request, your backend shouldn't credit the user's order a second time. This table lays it out perfectly. It shows how our system safely ignores duplicate confirmations without throwing a bunch of unnecessary errors. See, the first time transaction A arrives, boom, it's processed, and the order is credited. But if transaction A shows up again, the system just looks at it, says, yep, already got it, and performs a no-op. A no-op just means it ignores it completely. This totally prevents you from accidentally shipping 2 items for the price of 1, which for sure saves you from a massive accounting headache later on. All right, last major part, section 5, building the confirmation handler.
So, good news, you don't have to write everything from scratch. You can definitely prompt an AI assistant to help, but you really have to follow this specific loop: scaffold, run, validate, automate. This iterative development loop is a skill you are going to use constantly across Forge College's coding programs. It allows you to rapidly test those get-parsed transaction outputs against real testnet data until your logic is literally bulletproof. But to get good code from an AI, you have to be specific, like really specific. Here are the exact logical requirements you need to feed your AI assistant so it generates a robust, edge case-resistant route for you. You tell it to connect to the Solana testnet RPC. Strictly use that finalized commitment level. parse the post-token balances array, validate against the expected mint and amount, and finally, return a clean JSON object with confirmed is true and the metadata. Hit those points and you're golden.
And finally, Section 6, Conclusion. Like the slide says, never ship the physical good until the block is finalized. Honestly, patience pays off in Web3 payments. Keep your UI fast with confirmed states for sure, but keep your actual business safe with finalized settlement. So to wrap up, here's a question to leave you chewing on. As block times get faster and faster, do you think the gap between confirmed and finalized will eventually just disappear entirely? Could that change how we build Web3 merchants forever? Definitely something to think about. A huge thanks for joining me today in this explainer made by Forge College. Be sure to head over to forge.college to dive way deeper into this subject and master even more Web3 development skills. Catch you next time.